Right now, you can move $10,000 across the world in seconds. No gold, no messenger, no risk. Just a number on a screen. Confirmed, transferred, received. We take this for granted so completely that we never stop to ask the obvious question. When did value stop being something you had to carry? Because for most of human history, wealth was physical, it was heavy, it was visible, and moving it meant risking everything. The roads were dangerous, bandits were organized, wars were constant. If you were a merchant, a noble, or a pilgrim in medieval Europe, and you needed to move wealth from one place to another, you had a problem with no clean solution. Until someone built one. The medieval world was not simply dangerous. It was structurally dangerous. There was no neutral ground, no central authority that could guarantee safe passage across regions, through kingdoms, over mountain passes, and into foreign territories. And yet trade had to happen. Pilgrims had to travel. Kings had to finance campaigns. The need for movement was real. The infrastructure to support it safely did not exist. Think about what it actually meant to travel with gold in the 12th century. You are carrying your entire wealth on your body, or in wagons, through hundreds of miles of territory where robbery was not an exception. It was an expectation. You could be killed for what you carried. The gold itself became the liability. This was not a minor inconvenience. It was a structural failure at the heart of the medieval economy. Wealth existed, but it could not move. And an economy where wealth cannot move is an economy that cannot grow. Someone had to solve this, not with military force alone, with a system. The Knights Templar were established in 1119, initially as a military order, protectors of Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. But the problem they kept encountering was not just physical danger, it was financial. The people they protected were carrying everything they had, and the journey was long. So the Templars began to offer something new. A pilgrim arriving at a Templar house in Paris could deposit their gold. In return, they received a document, a coded letter, specific to them, describing the value of what they had deposited. They would carry this document, lightweight, easily concealed, meaningless to a thief who couldn't read it, across the entirety of their journey. Upon arriving at a Templar house in Jerusalem, they would present the letter and receive their gold. No gold moved, only information. This is the moment everything changed. Not because it was convenient, but because of what it revealed about the nature of value itself. They separated value from its physical form. The gold sat in Paris. The pilgrim traveled safely. The system, the network of Templar houses, the coded documents, the institutional trust that backed it all, that was what made the transfer real. Not the metal, the system. This is not a minor footnote in medieval history. This is the conceptual foundation of every financial transaction that happens today. What the Templars built did not stay small. The logic of the system expanded naturally because the problems it solved were not unique to pilgrims. Merchants needed it, nobles needed it, entire kingdoms needed it. And so the Templars became something that had no name yet, an early financial infrastructure. Deposits formalized. People left wealth with the Templars not just for safekeeping during travel, but as a stable store. The Templars held assets across their network of commanderies, properties, lands, and financial reserves spread across Europe and the Holy Land. This gave them something powerful: liquidity across geography. From there, lending followed. The Templars began extending credit, issuing funds now against assets or future repayment. loans to merchants who needed capital before a trade return, advances to nobles who needed to equip armies before tax collection. This is recognizable. This is banking. Then came mortgages, land as collateral, property pledged against borrowed value. The English word mortgage comes from Old French, mortgage, dead pledge. The pledge dies when the debt is paid or when the borrower defaults. The Templars were operating systems of secured lending that would not be formalized into law for centuries after they were gone. And across all of this ran their network. Houses in France, England, Italy, Spain, the Holy Land, and beyond. Each connected to the others through the same institutional logic. A document issued in London was honored in Acre. A debt recorded in Paris had standing in Jerusalem. The system operated across borders because it was built to, not by law, by design. This was not a religious order that happened to handle money. This was a financial network that happened to wear armor. By the late 13th century, the Templars had become something that powerful men find deeply uncomfortable. They had become necessary. Philip IV of France understood this acutely. He was in debt to the Templars, not abstractly, personally, significantly, and in ways that constrained his power. A king dependent on a private financial institution is a king whose sovereignty has a ceiling. Philip moved against them in 1307. The arrests were coordinated, simultaneous, carried out across France on a single October morning. The charges were dramatic: heresy, blasphemy, corruption. The trials were coerced, and the confessions were extracted under torture. In 1312, the order was formally dissolved by Pope Clement V under considerable pressure. In 1314, the last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned at the stake in Paris. It is tempting to read this as persecution, as power crushing what it feared. That reading is too simple. What Philip IV recognized, what made the Templars genuinely threatening, was not their secrecy or their symbols. It was their structural position. A private institution controlling cross-border financial flows, holding debt over sovereign powers, operating outside any single political authority. That is not a comfortable thing for any state to tolerate. The destruction of the Templars was not irrational. It was the reaction of a political system encountering something it could not yet contain. The Templars were dissolved. The debts were restructured. Philip got what he needed, but he could not dissolve the idea. Systems do not die with the institutions that first built them. The innovations the Templars introduced, the separation of value from physical form, the letter of credit, the deposit network, the use of land as collateral, the concept of cross-border financial infrastructure. These did not disappear in 1312. They transferred. The Medici of Florence in the 15th century built a banking network THAT operated on strikingly similar logic. Branches across cities, letters of credit honored across borders, deposits held in one place accessible in another. That story is already explored on this channel. From the Medici, the lineage continues. The Bank of England, established in 1694, formalized what the Templars had pioneered. The idea that a trusted institution could issue instruments representing value without that value needing to physically exist in front of you. Paper money, sovereign debt, bond markets. All of it tracing back through centuries to a fundamental insight. Value can be represented, transferred, and trusted without being physically present. And today, the number that moves across the screen when you make a transfer is not gold. It is not paper. It is recorded information inside a trusted institutional system. A claim on value, honored because the system behind it is trusted. The Templars did not build your bank, but they built the concept your bank runs on. This is what makes this history matter. Not the armor, not the crosses, not the fall. What matters is the idea they proved possible, that wealth could be abstracted, that trust, when properly structured and institutionally enforced, could do what gold could not, move freely, scale infinitely, and outlast any single person or power that tried to hold it. The institutions change, the underlying logic does not. The next time money moves from your account to someone else's, invisibly, instantly, across any distance, understand what you are actually using. Not technology, not software, a system 7 centuries old, still running. If you find value in understanding the systems behind wealth, power, and history, consider subscribing. Here on Silent Standard, we explore the financial strategies, institutions, and ideas that shape the world we live in today. Thank you for watching.